I'm Thrifty Kapila, a software engineer at Mantra Labs. So I want you to start by showing you about this guy. He is Linus Torvalds, and he's the man behind the Linux ecosystem. So how did he start it? He started inside, working inside in his room only, and you can see he still works like that only while walking on his treadmill right now. So the idea behind this I want to show is that the secret of getting ahead is getting started, and it's said by Mark Twain. So I will quickly show you the agenda of the meeting. So it's I will talk you about what is all about open source and why it's important, and then how it's important, and where you can get started, where you can get the resources to start with, right? Okay, so a very quick introduction, like what is open source? Like I believe most of you might be knowing this basic stuff. So I just want you to walk through this thing. So anything that's publicly available that anyone can modify and share, right? So it's called open source. Like a company or a person sitting in anywhere in the world creates anything, it puts out there for the benefit of everyone. That's simply called open source. Okay, so moving on to the why open source. See, nowadays everyone is pretty much comfortable with working from home, and most of people are working like that only. So this kind of philosophy has always been with the open source. Anyone can contribute from anywhere from the world. So it's again about the collaborative participation, and these kind of skills and work ethics are pretty much required in today's job culture, or anywhere you have to work around. So these kind of things you get to learn about, and it's a great way to learn by actually doing stuff, right? So for example, you want to learn on React Native or maybe Python. It's the best way to implement those things after learning those things. And it's open exchange of ideas where you can talk to people and get feedback from them, how things work and how things don't work. So it's a very open community where you can learn on. And talking about from organization's standpoint, it's easier and cost effective way to build a prototypes easier, and very quickly you can build things with the use of open source. And okay, so talking about like I want to show some of the companies that are doing really good in this sector and how they are promoting this culture. For example, what IBM is doing is like they have something as of like call for code. So it's a developer. Wait a minute. Okay, so call for code is a developer challenge that seeks to inspire developers. So basically, it's all about it's an annual event where IBM provides a challenge or sort of task that you have to come up that all developers can work on, and it's basically around the factors like developing some projects around how to fight natural disaster. Like you can see, maybe forest fires. Last time they did a project around owl, so it was related to the how to rescue people from floods and those kind of situations. So this time also they had like climate change and COVID-19, which we all know. So it's good like how they are promoting this kind of ecosystem and culture where you can actually contribute and impact the society at large. And similarly, DigitalOcean, what they do is they have a Hacktoberfest. It's a month-long celebration, they say. So it's basically like simple, like you can register on this platform, you can see, and all you have to do is 4 pull requests. Like 4 pull requests is like you have to make only 4 contribution to any project that's available on GitHub, and you can get a chance to win this limited edition T-shirt, or you can probably choose to plant a tree. So it's a good way to practice and maybe start this open source contribution. Okay, so I want to show this what Mozilla is also doing. So Mozilla, they have a lot of projects they are working on. So they are working on virtual reality projects, and they are creating a the browser for how you can put the stuff in virtual reality, a specific platform for VR and AR. And also there are other initiatives like what can I do for Mozilla.org, right? So again, they are not focused on just the coding aspect of the open source. They are pretty much comfortable with different sort of, like, when you go to this website, it will show you something like this, like what's your expertise area. So if it's testing software, then you can check on the projects that are available by clicking or telling more. But if it's not cup of your tea, you can probably go into the click on boring, and it will show you different options, basically how you can come and be part of this thing. Like you can be teaching also, and you're still contributing to the open source. Okay, so just like that, GitHub, what GitHub is doing, like they are promoting first time contributors with labels like good first issue. So where does actually this happen? Like it is something, whenever you create a project, and in project, if you have an issue, you create an issue, what GitHub will do, they will show you, now GitHub will help potential first time contributor discover issues labeled with good first issue. So basically what you can do is you can label those issues as good first issue. So the newcomers to the open source can actually take up those low hanging fruits, you can say. So it's easier to get into this open source by these kind of opportunities and companies what are they are doing in Raj. And how do I get started? So there are a lot of websites, as you can see on my screen. So it would be difficult to talk all of them. So maybe you can take screenshot, or maybe check it later. So I just want to tell you, it's basically for the first timers. So like Open Source Friday, first timers only. So what these websites do, they, based on your interest, for example, you might be interested in Python or JavaScript, or a particular thing, then you can decide on which way you want to contribute, right? So it could be depending on these kind of websites. It could be like email notification, like once a while they will give you email. Okay, there's some contribution or issue required in this company or this project, where you can go and check out and contribute. So there are a lot of websites like this that you can definitely check, and be a part of this evolving community. Okay, so now the question is, how do I contribute? So start with, you have to decide which way you want to contribute. Like it's not just like for the coders, like, okay, for example, I'm not coder. It's not like open source is not for me, or I can't do open source. So there are a lot of ways that you can contribute, and I will tell you further in the slides. And that you have to decide first, like which way you want to contribute. Then once you're decided, like then you have to select which project that you are interested in. Like I mentioned, there are a lot of projects that you can be part of and contribute. Maybe you can start your own open source project as well. But yeah, first you have to decide on that, and then you might have to learn a lot of skills related to that. Like you might be new to some programming language, but you like the project that you want to learn. And if you are assigned that project, you might have to learn those skills first to able to contribute to that. So like I mentioned, it's a good way of learning things as well. And then you deliver. This point is important, because what mostly people try to do is, like, they think of it as a part-time or side project kind of thing, but they don't understand the impact, like what they are doing in on a larger scale, because these projects are the actual live projects at somewhere. So it is highly advised to do it in a proper structured format, and mostly on time. Yes, and on time. And talking about next is get involved. Like it's really important. It's okay that you code or maybe design or whatever, you did the projects, you do things, but it's equally important to be part of a community. Like you guys, you have joined this event, and you can be you can network with different people in the this event as well. So it's really important to be part of community, and that's the only way you can get feedback on what you are doing, and maybe come to know about different projects that are being going. Okay, now I want to talk about, like, it's not really just the coding aspect, like I mentioned earlier as well. So you don't have to contribute code. It's not just like open source is it's all meant to be coding itself. I will be giving some other examples to show that as well. So it's a, like I mentioned, it's a very common misconception. Like people saying when it's about open source, it has to be related to the coding only, right? So it's not the case. In fact, I will tell you, like, for example, I am having a project that's built on a particular language. What other parts are being neglected is like the designing aspect, and maybe promoting or maybe teaching those kind of things, and categories get neglected because you can say most of the open source contribution is done by the coders, and they might not be good at other skills, like how do they promote that particular programming language, and how do they teach those programming, how they can do documentation or design stuff like that. So these are the things that these projects mostly get neglected at the start, right? And like I mentioned, you can contribute in different ways. So I will show you some couple of ways. Okay, so like I mentioned, like coding is one way that you can contribute, and I have seen like almost like 90 to 95% people just know this is the only way they can contribute to the open source, and this is the only way they like quite oftenly contribute only. And this is important factor, like design is actually equally important nowadays. We can see the trends going up for the UI UX design, and companies being pretty much design oriented. And it's really important because in the end you're serving the consumers, right, or the users. And if it's not a good design, it doesn't make sense, like if it's a functional or not. And there are other things like you can submit bugs and issues. For example, you might be having issues with the Zoom platform that we are watching, or maybe probably you're watching it on YouTube. So anytime it gets shut down or switched down, so you might eventually be giving these kind of issues or bug reports that you're giving. So you're probably giving it for free. But if you find it a way that you can provide a proper, well structured uh, report about how exactly this thing happened and what is the issue that caused. So there are programs like bug bounty programs by big companies, and like there are a lot of companies actually that gives you rewards and prizes, and they put you in the hall of fame for finding on those bugs, probably in their website or product whatsoever. So this is one thing, and again, testing is really important. I want to, and testing, writing documentation, like it's really important to work on these things. Again, it's also important, like to teaching the community, and that's how we can welcome the newcomers. Like they like it's really important to grow a particular community by, and it can only happen by teaching it, right? So you have to create issues as well, where you can, like I mentioned, you can maybe label it as a good first issue, or maybe low hanging fruits, or first timers only. So it's also another way how you can contribute to the open source, right? And again, like promoting events and organize events, just like we are doing right now at Open Source India. So it's another way how you can promote the open source culture and ecosystem. So now I want to talk about like some just examples. Like it's not, like I mentioned, a ton of time, like it's not about the coding itself. It could be different sort of things that you can be helping the community with. So one good example is illustration. So anyone who is a good illustrator, maybe go on to the Undraw. They have a very good features, and maybe you can also change the colors of these illustrations. You can choose it here, and there's a lot of features they are coming up with, and it's really a good way how you can diversify the talents that people have, right? So this is a Undraw, and similarly we have a platform for open source images. It's called Unsplash, where anyone can take the photos without any licensing issues or anything, and anyone can contribute as well. If you have a good camera or maybe a smartphone with which you can get good photos, and you can also contribute it here, right? And they also guide you with the tutorials, like how to click a better photo, and how you can publish it on here, like that. But there's more to it. What I want to show, like I mentioned in the Unsplash, like when you go to this website and you type anything, this you get the images like that is available to everyone, right? But if you check it over here, like it's showing like three dots, right? When you click here, it will show you other things what Unsplash does, right? So when you go to here, it will show you API and developers, right? And when I click here, it will show they have built the most powerful photo engine in the world. So this is the thing that I want you to look into, and you can also register as as a developer, and you can check the documents, how you can use their APIs, and how you can build, stuff on that. So the key takeaway I want you to take is like, it's not, it might, like everyone might be thinking of Unsplash as like, okay, I can get the images which are freely available without any agreement or license. But if you think about, like every website or most of the website and tools have this kind of option where they are providing a source how they can, help the community, and grow their self on a bigger level. So just like this, I want you to check out on different platforms that you already use. Maybe you can check on the Zoom or maybe Geo or Meet or something like that. They might be having good resources how you can actually use their tools and build something out of it. So that's one good thing that you should also look for. Like always look for the opportunities that are hidden. Like most of people overlook these kind of things, and this is where you have to be, you know um, be smart enough to find those opportunities, right? So some of the key takeaways about open source I would like to give is, you need to discover more of your interest, right? So like you might be currently working in software development or maybe in design, but this lockdown period, it's really important, and you can literally learn anything from the internet, and you have all the access nowadays. So it's really important to discover your side interest, or maybe you can end up in a good interest that you might be having, right? So research about more opportunities. Like once you find your interest, then it's very really important. You have to find the opportunities. Like for example, you might be a good photographer, but if you want to really develop your photography skills, then you should really get your word out to the public. And like I mentioned, Unsplash is a really good way to do that, where you can get the actual feedback from the community, right? And this way you will definitely learn more skills, and it's really important to get evolved or something. And when you have these kind of things done, and skills, opportunity, and interest, and then you have to get involved in the projects, like I mentioned, not just to the coding aspect or one particular aspect. This is the way where you can wear multiple hats and do a lot of things than your usual job or maybe coursework if you're a student. So in the end, I would say, like once you have done these kind of things, and you have mastered the skills, you have know about the projects, and you can that way you can contribute to open source, and that's how you evolve. That's what I want to say. Okay, so before I end, I want to end up with a fun fact about my presentation, or you can say talk, right? So this is my first ever presentation, talk, or session in any event, right? So the thing I want to like in the first, I earlier I was bit nervous, anxious, and clueless what to prepare, and how to do, and things like that. But then I did research, I practiced things, I planned things, I looked out how to, you know, where to get the resources, and how to find different things on the internet related to the open source, what other websites are available to get started with. So then I would say in the end, it's a really intimidating experience at first, but it's really worth it. And it's same with the open source, right? So it's not just the open source, it's same with every, in fact, everything that you do it for the first time. Like for the first time, it might be okay, I don't know open source, I don't know how to speak in public, but it's a way that how you can outgrow your fear. Maybe if I might be having some fear at the back of my mind about public speaking, but it's a good opportunity. Like I can come to you guys and give a talk or session regarding that, and it's really important to grow in life. So that's another way you can look at open source. So with that, I would like to end my session, and I am open for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Thrifty. That was a lovely session. Yeah, there is one question. How do you connect it with the COVID-19?
Connected with the COVID-19, as in they are saying with the IBM. I guess
Yeah.
they are saying with the IBM.
Hmm.
So what actually they do is like their primary focus is doing it for the environment, like what exactly happening in the natural disasters related thing, how how as a developers one can contribute. Like earlier they created a system of ducklings, like they can deploy small hotspot kind of thing, that if anyone gets into a problem they can call uh, and get rescued. Because what happens in the cases of these natural disasters, the point of contact and the network get distorted. There's no adequate network to ask for help and communicate between the rescue teams and the people who are stuck in these kind of things. So actually, for this year, they were doing it for the climate change only, but it started back in like around March or April. So they this time only introduced this thing, COVID-19, and they gave a like open challenging statement, like you can think of any way how you can tackle the situation. So one good project that come out of this was like there was a application in which you can virtually stand in queues. Like you might be seeing in COVID-19, people standing in long queues for even basic necessities. So they come up with this thing, like not the IBM. It was one of the participants that they come up with this thing. Peace. It was like safe queue, right? It was something like safe queue. Not sure, like yeah, it was something like safe queue, where you can virtually stand in the queue, and whenever you get the turn, you can go collect your items. So that's how they connected with the COVID-19. I hope that answers your question.
Ritesh is asking, can you please share link again for repository pull to get t-shirt as well?
Okay. So I think you guys are interested in being part of DigitalOcean. So this is the initiative that's being done. It's again, it's not about the T-shirt. It's again, they are promoting, and they say that it's a way of their celebration, like. And I would say like yeah, you can register at this link and you can do this 4 pull request. You will definitely get a limited edition t-shirt. I got it last time as well. And yeah, so this is the link that you can check on more on this website.